two things, God and the Cats.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sam Houston Sports Talk Pod 59. We'll have just me. Luke won't be able to join me for this one. Welcome in, everyone. If you haven't already, be sure you like and subscribe today to Sam Houston Sports Talk. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. And for those watching on YouTube, if you are, going out for the drive, hey, I don't want you to be pulling up YouTube while you're driving, okay? How about you just go ahead and go on over to Spotify, and go ahead and give us a follow over there. We're on Spotify. Link will be in the description for that as well. We got a lot to get to today in such a short episode because just want to go ahead and just get to the point on a lot of these because this episode is coming out much later than I anticipated. But we are going to hit all of what we need to get to. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Sam Houston football's loss to Western Kentucky to begin the 2025 season. We'll hear from Coach Longo after his press conference yesterday. And later on, we'll have the 2025 Sam Houston Volleyball preview. It's quite an interesting year, to say the least, especially with this group that head coach Brenda Gray is highlighting. We'll get to that in about 10 minutes or so into this episode, and we will also go through for the final segment just real quick things going around Bearkat sports. Sam Houston men's basketball and women's basketball released their schedules, so we're going to go through those pretty quickly at the end. But thank you for tuning in once again to Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Sam Houston Bearkats lose to the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers 41-24 to begin the 2025 season. There was not a lot of things to like, but there are some potentials for sure. If you haven't already, how about you go ahead and check out the film breakdown and analysis I did of Saturday's game, just detailing what went wrong, but some positives that can be built upon, especially heading into this Friday night matchup against the UNLV Rebels, led by head coach Dan Mullen. We'll get to UNLV. The preview of that will be on the next pod, which will come out sometime tomorrow. Just to kind of let this episode right here sit so that way y'all are informed about the latest stuff. But here is head coach Phil Longo on his opening statement on Tuesday's press conference about the WKU loss.
We addressed this game with regards to trying to deal with the travel and trying to deal with all these new faces and these new personalities. And I thought the biggest mystery going in was are we going to be able to maintain our composure and our poise during the game? It's something that I asked the players to emphasize. We hoped in an effort to do that we play a cleaner game. We wanted to secure the football. We wanted to hold the penalties to a minimum. We wanted to maintain our composure during some of the tough times of the game. And the truth is we did turn the ball over with the interception by Hunter Watson down the left sideline. But I thought we played hard for 4 quarters, played a fairly clean game for game 1 in week 0, and we did maintain our composure. And I thought we fought and were physical. Where we fell short on both sides of the football, I think we lost the game on third down. And offensively, we weren't very good at all. And defensively, we did some nice things on third down, but the plays that we gave up, they were tough ones. I thought we took the lead there for a little while in the third quarter, in the second half, and had an opportunity maybe to get a stop and put our offense in a position maybe to make it a 2-score game. And we gave up a big 3rd and 7, and that kept the drive alive, and they wound up retaking the lead. And that was a substantial play defensively. On offense, we had a huge 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9. It was an important drive. We thought they all are important, but this was a big one. And we just had a flat-out drop by one of our tight ends, and so we have to roll the punt team out there. And I thought those 2 plays kind of encapsulated how third down went for us, and I thought that was the biggest difference in who won and who lost the ball game.
That was head coach Phil Longo's opening statement on Tuesday's presser, and I asked Coach Longo in the middle of the presser how Grady O'Neal was doing. He took a very big, nasty hit late in that game against Western Kentucky, just kind of just a bit more of a rougher night for the Bearcats. And, well, Bearcats, there might be some good news on Grady O'Neill, especially on his possibility on playing Friday.
There is a possibility. He's actually just questionable right now. He's feeling a lot better. He was feeling a lot better yesterday. Passed all the tests very positively, and so we'll let the doctor make that call. I'm just glad he's okay and he's healthy. It didn't look pretty after the hit. His helmet was actually dented, which I haven't seen in a long time in this game, surprisingly, but I haven't. But it was, and so he took a vicious hit, and so I'm just happy that he's healthy right now, and he's really able to run around and do those things. He's going to go through protocol, and the doctor will make a decision sometime this week.
So good news, because Grady O'Neill was a part of that offense quite a bit on Saturday against Western Kentucky, getting 50 yards of receiving. It's a good sign because I think I highlighted Grady in our offense preview a little bit about how fast and quick he is. He was a walk-on actually at Wisconsin, so it's a heck of a story, and he seems to get along with his teammates quite well. I saw him on the sidelines without pads for practice Tuesday morning, and he seemed to be in great spirits. It's just crazy that someone could take a hit like that and then seeming like, oh yeah, I'm here. Nothing happened, but I will say there's probably personally for me, without being a doctor, there's about maybe a 15 to 25% chance that Grady plays. I mean, concussions are concussions. They are not to be messed with. If I were to take a guess, I think they take it safe and just let him sit out this game. But you never know. Maybe the doctors be like, hey, he's already ready to go. He passed all the tests, and bam. As you can see, that Longo said that he seems to be doing just fine. Speaking of injuries, Antavius Fish was having some injury issues, it seemed like, during the game, but he stayed in and played a lot of snaps. And James Don II was ruled out at center for the Bearcats, and head coach Phil Longo gave us an update on both.
So it's good news on both. Fish is great, so we're good there. There's no issue with Antavius. And then there's really good news with James Dawn. He's now he'll be questionable for this week, and I think the rehab process is going well and is ahead of schedule. So again, we're going to let the trainers and the PTs and the doctors make those decisions, but James is ahead of schedule at this point.
Head of schedule, he says. That's a great sign, and because the offensive line just had a lot of trouble, and a lot of it has to do with being a new system and putting it into game action against another defensive line besides their own. And just again, if you want to go ahead check out the film breakdown analysis, I pointed that out a couple of times where they seemingly, when they were in space, they kind of just weren't. I guess they needed to get some things down, like hey, first game's here. You know what you did wrong. There's some mistakes. Let's go ahead and iron those out and fix it. But with the return of James Don II, it is going to be absolutely huge if he does come back, depending on when he does, because that is your quarterback of the offensive line, like I've noted many times. And he has a great connection with the offensive line, and having the leader in there playing is going to be a huge boost, I would say, in offensive production. And speaking of offensive production, what we thought we were going to get out of was Michael Phoenix II. He was suited on the sidelines, but he did not play a single snap against Western Kentucky. Head coach Phil Longo filled us in on that.
I think Mike is in the too deep for the week. As I'll tell you, with regards to all the players here, a lot of that, the decision making with regards to where they're going to wind up at the end of the week is based on their week of practice. Mike had a good camp. There was nothing negative on his part. We've got some guys that are doing good things in that room right now. But with regards to the plans moving forward for this week, I would think he'd be in the rotation, and so you may see a little bit more of Michael this week, possibly than you did last.
So Michael Phoenix II will be looking to get some more time and not just more time, but actual time, because he did not play a single snap. And I feel like they need some help out there on the outside. They need that X. They need the X right now positioned when it comes to Quavez and Michael Phoenix II to stand up and go out there and help out the offense. And it is really hard though whenever you're missing assignments all over the field, whether it be on the offense or the defense. And I asked Longo about fixing those missed assignments.
Well, I mean, it comes down to focus. I mean, that's really, when you're the most athletic team in the country and you have a lot of MAs, you can make up for stepping in the wrong direction. You can retrace with some freakish athletic ability and make up for it and go make a play anyway. And when you're a really bad team, you can't afford to make any mistakes. And I don't think we're either. I think we're like most teams. We're a good football team. We're a talented football team, but we can't afford missed assignments. And one missed assignment on pass protection can close the play. One misfit on defense, and you can give off an explosive run. And so, as you all know, it takes 11 being in sync and on the same page. And I thought the plays that went negative for us Saturday night were self-inflicted. The silver lining, the good thing to that is we get those things corrected, and we're playing more sound football because I think physically and from a speed standpoint, I like how we played. Mentally, from a focus standpoint, we've got to execute better and we got to be on point before we snap the football, and that'll give us an opportunity to win or lose the game in the athletic realm. Don't want to lose the game mentally.
It's all about the mental side of things. It seems like for head coach Phil Longo, just when you have the right mental mindset and when you're locked in mentally in the game, you're more likely than not gonna have a good game and execute what you have to execute. Again, go watch the film breakdown analysis. I thought there was some plays that were really good and they would have been successful if everyone just stuck to their assignments and did their job. And on the defensive side, not giving up those big explosive plays like MacGyver did against that secondary. I still think that there needs to be more improvement on the defensive line, but I like a lot of things. I just think it's going to take some time to mold. And better yet, guys, I've seen much worse season openers, to say the least. I mean, I was there when Sam Houston opened up the 2023 season, their first FBS season against the BYU Cougars, and they could not cross the goal line, and they were close one time, and they threw an interception in the end zone. I mean, they ultimately lost that game 14-0, but that defense was, staunch. That defense was really was good, and then they got much better, obviously, the next year. But hey, at least the offense is showing signs that, hey, this could be really good, especially with a mobile quarterback like Hunter Watson. And I think that once Watson gets much more comfortable in this system, once he understands what he has to do, and whenever he actually feels a little bit more, I'm kind of building more on the comfortable side of things, like looking at other places to go with the football. Because if there's one thing about an air raid offense, is that there is always going to be an answer. I mean, that's kind of with a lot of offense, but there's always going to be an answer in the passing game, and that is finding the open space. Because you can have the perfect coverage, everyone can be in their assignments, but there are such things as plays that, can beat cover 2, can beat cover 3, can beat a cover 4, or beat cover 0 or cover 1 with a robber or whatsoever. It's just up to the quarterback to finding that decision. And then when he's throwing the football, find where the open spaces are, and then those receivers should be there. There's a lot to it. And hey, if it's not there, hey, Watson, guess what? You're probably one of the best running quarterbacks that I've personally have seen in person. Just run the football, use your legs. That is one of your greatest strengths. And then bulldoze a couple of players. Well, maybe not do that, too often because I don't want you to get hurt because I want you out there. But either way, it was not a good showing against Western Kentucky. But there's potential. Just build off of it, keep going, and you're going to find the way. There was a lot more cuts in that Longo press conference, but I'm going to save those because they talked about UNLV for the next pod, so keep an eye out for those. We're going to be talking about UNLV, led by head coach Dan Mullen. But once again, guys, Sam Houston will have their first home game this Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Time in downtown Houston, inside the confines of Shell Energy Stadium, the home of the Houston Dynamo. And if you're not able to make it, be sure you tune in on CBS Sports Network or listen in on the audio-only broadcast on 90.5 KSHU FM in Huntsville, Texas. And if you're elsewhere and want to listening to audio, you can go online at gobearcats.com and find the audio part of the broadcast over there, and you can also download the Bearkat Sports app as well and have the audio tuned up right there. Pretty simple to find, if I say so myself. All right, I'm gonna go take a break, and then when we come back, we are going to preview the 2025 volleyball season. We got some audio cuts that we got from head coach Brenda Gray's press conference after Longo got his done. Stay right there. This is Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, welcome back to Sam Houston Sports Talk. Once again, Colin Neal here. Luke Scott not able to join me for this pod episode. We just recapped a bit of Western Kentucky once again and heard from Phil Longo on his presser Tuesday. And after Phil Longo got done, we got a chance to talk to volleyball head coach Brenda Gray. Sam Houston Bearkats volleyball is coming off of a very much improved season last year where they went from one win in Conference USA play to 8 and making it into the Conference USA tournament. This team, though, looks a lot different. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 freshmen and 1 graduate and 1 senior. And of course, so there's a variety of experience this year on this squad. And head coach Brenda Gray started out with this opening statement that I just found quite interesting. She highlighted the freshmen quite a bit, so maybe this team could be quite interesting this year.
Oh man, 2025.
Sorry, Coach, I didn't mean to cut you off so quickly. But yeah, so a couple of freshmen, a couple players she mentioned, Carly Schluter, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Spring, Texas, went to Concordia Lutheran High School. She could be the one that steps in when Avery Fowler graduates after this year. So Schluter could be the odds-on favorite to be the next main setter for this Sam Houston Bearcat squad. We'll get to Avery Fowler in just a moment. And she also mentioned Chloe Munson, 5'10" freshman from San Antonio, Texas. Hey, you heard her. You heard her say it herself. You know, she is one of the best terminators of the ball that she's seen in the gym in quite some time. Not exactly her, exact quotes, but you understand. And she mentioned Lauren Malone. We'll get to her in just a moment alongside Chelsea Butler. But kind of circling around to Avery Fowler, we all know what she can bring. She has improved quite a bit, and she has been a dynamic setter in setting up those attacks on the outside, inside, wherever it may be for the Bearcats. And head coach Brenda Gray talked a little bit about her.
Well, Avery knows exactly what's going on. She's the longest tenured player we have on the roster right now. She's our starting setter. We are laid out to be running a 6-2 this year, so she'll be in that first slot. The second slot's going to depend on, is it going to be Audrey, is it going to be Carly, and that's what these preseason tournaments are for. But definitely Avery Fowler will be on the floor, no doubt.
And that's good to bring someone like Avery Fowler back, especially in this landscape of college athletics, to where you could lose a really good player if you're a small program. Well, not small, but in a way a small program like Sam Houston in a way. Now, one of the big storylines coming into this season for the Sam Houston Bearcats is that this will be their first season in 5 years without Hannah Baker, the longtime libero, the greatest libero in Sam Houston history. She holds pretty much every single record a libero can have, and also losing her her longtime friend and teammate from all the way to when I believe they played like club volleyball together at the high school, of course, and the Mackenzie Morvan, but really good best friends. But Morvan also leaves, who really held down that middle blocker spot for 5 years along, and with Hannah Baker right behind her at the libero spot. And I asked head coach Brenda Gray about replacing the production, just finding a way to supplementing that production, and who's stepping up and who's going to be the starting libero for the Sam Houston Bearcats in the 2025 season to begin things.
Yeah, it's, I always say we're replacing positions, not players. Those two, Van and Baker, they were on the floor for 5 years. Quality individuals, quality players, but in all due respect, definitely Shaylin White. She will be our starting libero. She's been in that jersey now all spring and now in the fall. I think you'll see that she's going to be doing some great things. And then, you've got to give the nod to Chelsea. She's got to step in and take over where Vant was. And, I think she's a lot more ready this year than she was last. So, yeah.
You heard it. Shaylin White will be the starting libero for the Sam Houston Bearcats, and Chelsea Butler will be filling in that void in the middle in the place of Mackenzie Morvan. And more on Chelsea Butler, the Huntsville native. She, it seemed like that she needed some help with the transition from high school volleyball to college volleyball, and she can jump out of the gym. I mean, she's an athlete. She also played basketball and did shot put, I believe, if I remember correctly, in high school. So she's an athlete. But once you get into college, you kind of have to start adjusting on not just a mental level, but also on a physical level. And head coach Brenda Gray likes how Chelsea Butler has improved over this offseason.
I think she has finally understood that you've got to work out to be a competitor at really any level, but at this level, Division I, I don't think she realized that her body could do the things that she's been doing this spring, this summer, and leading into this fall. She's like, man, no one ever pushed me this hard. So, that translates over to her work ethic in the gym, what she's been able to accomplish in the gym. I mean, I think she surprises herself sometimes, but, she's a big force for us, and she's really put the work in so far this preseason.
Good sign to say the least for at least a middle blocking spot. But on the outside, they returned Michaela Penakova, who, last year she was, I believe she was she was sick, if I remember correctly. And they missed her quite a bit. The 6'1" junior from Slovakia, and she is going to be she's a very big returner. And you also bring in a graduate transfer from Coastal Carolina, Round Rock native, in Lauren Malone, outside hitter. And head coach Brenda Gray had some thoughts on Malone and what can we expect from her, what she brings to the table.
A lot of maturity. She doesn't tend to make a lot of errors. I think she's extremely smart with the ball. She knows when to take a big swing. She knows when to go ahead and put an off speed. But I'm going to tell you, the tick about Lauren is that young lady is like an energy bunny. She just, like, it doesn't really matter where that ball is on the floor. She's going to find a way to be sure it doesn't hit the floor. I think she passes a great ball. Keeps us in system. I think defensively she's very, very good. She's just, there's no substitute for 5 or 4 years of previous play. So she just brings a lot of experience to the floor.
Seemed like a great addition, especially when it seems like it feels second year in a row you bring in an experienced transfer. Last year you had a Lehigh transfer, Lila Washington, that came in as an experienced outside hitter, and she did her thing. This year, though, is the key to have it all come together. These first 2 years in preparing for Conference USA and adjusting to the level of competition. She talked a little bit about that, but I won't really have much time to really get to that because, again, I'm trying to keep this episode short. And also, apologies. I did not give y'all a disclaimer that the audio is going to sound kind of weird, but anyway though. But this is could be a quite interesting year. With the amount of freshmen that are potentially playing, and she made it clear multiple times that we are going to see freshmen on that floor more often than you would think. Whether it be Schluters, she sounds like she's going to be getting a lot of playing time. Munson sounds like he's going to be getting a lot of playing time as well. And then you also have Shaylin White, who will be stepping into the full-time libero spot for the first time. And then, so there's a lot of moving parts, but at the same time, it seems like that Coach Gray is pretty confident in what she has as a squad together. And just the fact that she's talking a lot about this freshman class, it just kind of gives me optimism for the future of this program as we further move on into our tenure in Conference USA. Let's now go ahead and look at the schedule. I'll line it out for you just like this. It begins this Friday in the Bearkat Invitational against Southern Illinois at 10 a.m. I'll be out there for that. And then I won't be here for this one, but if you're still sticking around in Huntsville and you're not going to UNLV, you could just go ahead and attend this one against McNeese. And then they will end the Bearcat Invitational on Saturday, August 30th against the Tulane Green Wave. And then after that, starting September 5th to 6th, they will have 3 matches at the Stephen F. Austin tournament against Abilene Christian, Louisiana, and SFA. The SFA game will be on ESPN+. And then they will just have a one-off game against Lamar in Huntsville, September 9th. That one will be on ESPN Plus as well, before they go off to the Islanders Classic to face Tarleton, Prairie View, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Then they'll come back home for another tournament, the Bearkat Classic, where they will take on HCU, Georgia State, and ULM. And then after that, conference play begins with a 2-game set against the UTEP Miners, last year's champions. A very good program last year, to say the least. September 26th to 27th. Then they go on the road to New Mexico State and take on the Aggies. Another good program. October 3rd, October 4th in Las Cruces. Then back home to face FIU for a 2-game set. October 10th and 11th against the Panthers in Huntsville, Texas. Then they go on a 4-game stretch on the road, separate a week apart, but nonetheless 4 games in a row on the road at WKU in Bowling Green, Kentucky. They were a really tough team last year, a very good historic program. And then the next week, October 24th to 25th, they go to Jacksonville, Alabama to take on the Jack State Gamecocks. And then they'll face Kennesaw State and Louisiana Tech back-to-back homestands. They'll face the Owls October 31st to November 1st, and then Louisiana Tech November 7th to November 8th in Huntsville, Texas. And then they'll end the season on the road, and I believe for the first time in the program's history, let me see. No, not the first time ever. They've actually faced a couple of times before, but the Delaware Blue Hens, first year Conference USA team. That's where the Bearcats will end their season, up in Newark, Delaware, And then if they do qualify, they will head to the Conference USA tournament November 20th to 22nd in Miami, Florida at Ocean Bank Convocation, where it is the home of the FIU Panthers. So that kind of lays out a little bit of what they are facing this year. Again, they improved a lot last year, but can they build off of it? Can they possibly aim towards a 10-win mark? I personally don't know. I just don't see how it can be a repeat of the first year in Conference USA. I think the coaching staff and head coach Brenda Gray herself have gotten pretty comfortable. They're returning some experience. They seem to have a really good locker room that is very well connected. And with what they know now about Conference USA competition, and I mean like the scouting and all that, they know a little bit more about the opponents that they're facing. So I'm not too concerned at the moment. I'm kind of in the middle of where this could be. It could be a interesting season, as in like it'll be up and down, or it could be a good season where it's a lot of positives than negatives. But be sure you go out and support your Bearkat volleyball team. Again, they begin their season on Friday morning, August 29th. So, but hey, if you are going to see Sam Houston football that day, how about you just stop by Huntsville, stop by the Bernard G. Johnson Coliseum for a 10 a.m. matchup against SIU, where the Bearcats volleyball begin their season. I'll be there covering that game, seeing the team for the first time before I head down to UNLV that Friday, which is a couple days away, obviously. So yeah, that's a preview of Sam Houston volleyball for 2025. When we come back, we'll wrap things up, including men's basketball and women's basketball releasing their schedules and what other events are going around in Sam Houston athletics. We'll wrap things up here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, welcome back to Sam Houston Sports Talk. I am Colin Neal. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up with what is going on in Sam Houston Bearkat athletics. First, women's soccer will finally have their home opener of the season, this time against the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders. The Islanders had a great year in the Southland Conference last year, led by a very prospective head coach. I actually had a conversation with him this morning because I will be on the call for ESPN Plus on that game, August 28th, which is tomorrow. At the time this is recording, Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. So if you're not able to make it out there to Texas, to Pritchett Field to see the Bearcats take on Texas A&M Corpus Christi, you can just tune in on ESPN Plus and get to hear my so familiar and beautiful voice. But I encourage you, Bearcats, go on out there and watch your Bearcat soccer team. And then they will, on Sunday, August 31st, they will face Lamar once again at Pritchett Field at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. That game will also be on ESPN Plus. And we just talked about them. Women's volleyball will begin their season at home for the Bearkat Invitational against Southern Illinois. Then after that, about 6 hours later, they'll take on McNeese again at 4 p.m. at Bernard G. Johnson Coliseum, and then they'll finish the Bearkat Invitational on Saturday against Tulane, August 31st at 12 p.m. So be sure, once again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but for real, go out there, support your Bearcats, no matter what the sport is, because it's not just football, it's not just men's basketball, it's not just volleyball, it's all the sports that matter. Okay, so be sure you go out there and support your Bearcats. See if I can get this thing pulled up. I totally forgot to pull this up. But Sam Houston women's basketball released their non-conference schedule. It goes like this. November 3rd against Southwestern Christian at home in Huntsville, Texas. November 9th in Fort Worth against TCU. And the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. They'll go up there to Arkansas on November 12th, and on November 17th, they begin a 3-game homestand against Prairie View A&M. November 20th, Louisiana Monroe, and then November 25th against North American. Then they go on a 2-game road stretch a little bit. December 3rd against Rice in Houston. December 16th at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Then they end their non-conference play on a 3-game homestand against SMU on December 19th. Northern Colorado, December 22nd, and against, I believe that's just Dallas University on December 28th in Huntsville, Texas. We will preview women's basketball and men's basketball as we get closer to the seasons getting started. Both teams have a quite interesting season to really have. I had to fix my headset. I was getting a little bit uncomfortable. Let's see if I need to find Sam Houston men's basketball. I can't believe I keep forgetting to pull these things up. I will say, though, David Wood has been quite busy for baseball recruiting-wise. He's got a couple of commitments. He's actually have one today while he was moving in to his new place to settle down. I believe it's in Huntsville. I could be wrong, though. Obviously, I'm wrong about a lot of things, aren't I, right? But either way, here is Sam Houston men's basketball's non-conference schedule. November 3rd against LeTourneau to begin the season. Then they go on a stretch where they face 2 power opponents, Texas Tech, November 7th in Lubbock, and on November 15th against Utah and Salt Lake City. And then they will have a 2-game homestand in Wyoming, November 19th and November 22nd, Shriner, again, both in Huntsville, Texas. Then they go all the way up to Boise, Idaho to take on Idaho State and Idaho. And then they come back to Texas to begin a 3-game road stretch before conference play begins against Oklahoma State on December 2nd in Stillwater, December 6th in Houston against Texas Southern, and then in Corvallis, Oregon to take on Oregon State Beavers. That is your schedules for both non-cons for men's and women's basketball. And then, of course, Friday night, Sam Houston football in their second game in the Phil Longo era take on the UNLV Rebels, 8:30 p.m. Central Time at Shell Energy Stadium, broadcasted on CBS Sports Network and also on the Bearkat Sports Network live audio. That'll do it for me here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. I'm Colin Neal. Be sure you like and subscribe today. Follow us on all of our social media platforms and check out our Spotify as well for the audio-only version of the podcast. And as always, guys, eat them up, cats. And two things. God and the cats. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day.